Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance. Thank you for joining me. I'm back again, and today we're going to use one charm pack, just one, to make a table runner. I'm also going to give you directions on making a full quilt if you want to use more than one charm pack or yardage or whatever. This is a little different than my one layer cake quilt that I made because I haven't made a sample using the fabric I'm going to use. So you're going to get to see real time me sorting out all the fabric. It's going to be a ton of fun, I hope. We'll see. Hopefully it works. The charm pack I'm going to use is this one. It's called Dawn on the Prairie, and I just love the colors because it's fall but not fall, and I love that. I did make two other samples. One I'll show you later, but the one I will show you now here is of this one. Isn't it pretty? This fabric unfortunately is no longer available. It was an old charm pack I had. I'll put the name of it up here. I love how this turned out, and this was my sample trying out the pattern. And then I have a Halloween one that's kind of special that I'll show you in a little bit. Let's get started sorting out that fabric and seeing what we can make. Okay, here it is. And before I open it, I just want to tell you a little bit about the charm pack. It's 5 inches by 5 inches. And there are 42 pieces in this. And what's really cool about a charm pack or any of these pre-cuts is it's the entire line of fabric from that new line of fabric. So you get a nice little sampling. This particular one has 36 fabrics in it, and there are duplicates, so it brings it up to the 42. It really depends on how many fabrics are in the line on how many duplicates you'll have. All right, let's open it up. Okay, so I'm gonna sort these out in what I see as light, darks, and mediums. This is what I see as lights, mediums, and darks, but I never trust my eye. So I'm going to take a picture of it, and then I'm going to make that in black and white and check. And yes, I have some things I need to change. Here's the black and white photo up on the screen so you can see it. I do have to move these yellows right here, which I was questioning, and they are actually lights, believe it or not. And then, something in here. This, I believe, is a medium. These two. So now I'm going to take another picture, change that to black and white, and this one actually is a dark. And I'm going to do it again, and I keep doing that until I get the right values separated out. I think we're good with lights, mediums, and darks. And I'm so surprised by this yellow because to me that yellow definitely read as medium, and as you can see, it's not. Your eye is going to see it as light in this project. We need 40 of these, so we need to take 2 out, and there are duplicates. So I'm going to take one of these, I think, out, and one of these. So we need 20 lights and 20 darks. But what about these mediums? These mediums we're going to separate into those lights and darks. So let's see how many darks we have. 1, 2, 12. So we have 12 of the dark. So I need 8 more for that. I have 20 light. Can you believe that? I can't believe that that worked out like that. And I had 12 dark, so I need 8. There should be 8 here because we took 2 out. So we should have 20 and 20, right? So I can just put all of these over, but I am gonna just double check to see if I counted wrong. Okay, so now I have a pile of darks and mediums and a pile of light. It doesn't always work out that well. So just make sure you try this exercise, separate your mediums in the 2 groups, and then we'll just make sure that you never put a medium with the dark. With this project, we don't have to. Happy accident. All right, our next step is to match these together and sew a 1/4 inch on each edge. And we're gonna do that for all of these. So I did forget to mention that you don't have to use your phone. If you have a ruby bee holder, you can use that. Let me get mine. Okay. That's this thingy, and you can get one through this little, I don't know, contraption. I love this thing, this is great. But it has a ruby bee holder, this red film in the back, so you can use that, or you can use any red film. That will work too. That'll just allow you to see the value. So there are other options. Okay, we are putting these right sides together. So we have our lights and our darks. We're gonna sew down each side using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I have everything set up right at my machine on one of my trays here. I'm gonna put them all ready to go so I can move them around easily and start sewing. So I'm gonna take 1 light and 1 dark, line them up as best as you can. Because of the pinked edge, I find them to be a little wonky. We will be squaring these blocks up, so don't worry, it's not a problem. I'm gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and my stitch length is 1.8 or so, and start sewing. What I like to do is just do 1 whole side, and then I turn them over and do the other side. But for this video, I'm just gonna show you turning them around and just do the other side. And you can chain them through. You're gonna do that for all of these. So these are all sewn together. I have 20 of them, and I'm going to take this pile and make sure all of the light sides are up. That's gonna make it much easier for us. We're also gonna make sure that the seams that we just sewed are on the right and left side, not the top and bottom. Again, making it easier. And I just wanna be clear on how I sewed this. So I sewed one side and then the other. So it made like a tube. So I can put my hand right through it. Okay, ready for the next step? Here's our pile. We have all 20 here. And what we're gonna do next is take 10 and put it into one pile and 10 in the other. So I'll count these out. So I have 10 in this pile, 10 in this pile. Now I'm gonna take one pile and flip it over so the darks are up, and we're gonna set this one aside. Now we have this one with all the lights, and we need to start slicing, which is so much fun. All right, so to do this, we're gonna take one of these, again, light side up. We're gonna take a ruler and measure over 2.5 inches, making sure things are straight. And you're measuring 2.5 inches from the edge, and you're just gonna draw a line right down. Now I'm using a pen, you can use a marking pencil. I'm just gonna interrupt for 1 minute because I forgot to mention we're only cutting the top piece. So we're marking one piece, the top, in this case the light, and we're gonna cut in a second through that top layer. Very important. I don't want to see you slice through it all. Okay, back to the tutorial. It does get buried in the seam allowance, so you don't have to worry too much about it, but I want you to be able to see it on camera. Then I'm going to take scissors and just cut on that line. If you aren't perfect, that's okay. We're squaring these blocks up, but try your best to get it nice and straight. And there you have it, with the dark in the middle and the lights on the end. All right, I'm going to show you another way to do it. I have this mat. I don't know where I got it. I wish I did to tell you. You just slide this in. I'm sure you can buy them. You could also cut down a piece of old mat if you wanted to. And if you slide that on, okay, you can tell I didn't sew super straight with this one. Again, it's okay. It's not going to be a huge deal. We're going to line that up, and then you can take your rotary cutter and cut, and you don't have to draw a line. And you get dark in the middle, lights on the end. You're gonna do that to all of these with the light up. After you're done doing it with all of these, you're gonna do it with all of these with the dark up. So you're gonna be cutting the dark side. Let me do one for you so you can see the difference. So this one has the dark on the ends and the light in the middle. You can see how these are opposites. All right, so do that to all 20, keeping them separated, just works best. All right, I have my two piles. So I have the dark and light and the light and dark. Now this one might not look familiar. I had to pull this from my stash because I accidentally cut one wrong. So I found this fabric in my stash and I felt like it went with the collection. And then of course I had an extra one of these because this is one of the ones that I took out as doubles in the beginning. It worked out, but I did have to do that. And don't be afraid to do that. You can always pull from your stash and add to these. Our next step is another thing that's a lot of fun. What we're gonna do is take half of each of these piles. So we have 10 in each, so we're gonna take 5 of each. Okay, so I took 5 of that. I'm gonna take 5 of this. So there's 5 in each pile, 20 altogether. We are going to swap these like this. We're gonna take this side, or whatever side, just 2 of these piles. We are setting these aside. Okay, now we're going to take these and we're cutting this in half again. Slice and dice, slice and dice. I'm loving it. Take our ruler right here. You can see this isn't exactly even. That's okay, they get a little wonky. I wasn't super careful either. That's okay, because we are going to end up squaring these up. I'm gonna have to get a bigger ruler. This is a little short. All right, here we go. We are worried about these seams being straight, okay? So we're going to go over 2.5 inches, making sure these seams are straight, and they are, and we cut. Now I like to keep these together. You could probably make it a little scrappier and separate these, but I like to keep them just like that. I'm gonna do that to all of these, all 10, because we have 5 dark and light and 5 light and dark. So I'm gonna go through and do that. Here they are. Look, they're all here. All the pieces are sliced. And now we have our 2 sets. Well, 4 sets. We have 5 that are light in the middle, 5 that are dark in the middle that we kept whole. And then we have 10, because we have 2 from each, that are light in the middle and 10 that are dark in the middle, and these are sets. Now we're going to match. So we're going to take the light center, we're going to put it with the dark. I'm going to set this aside for a minute. And then we're going to take the dark center and match it with the light. And now the fun begins. So we're going to take one at a time here and pin this in, matching these seams. And as you can see, it's a little wonky. That's okay. And I like to pin it just because it just holds it in place. We're going to worry about getting those corners, those points matched. And that looks good. All right, I'm going to match up the rest. And yes, I like to pin a lot. Whoops, there goes my pin cushion. Just like that. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch down. And then this one, its partner, this fabric's partner, I'm going to put on this side. Like I said, you can mix them up if you want to. For me, I just like doing it this way. I think it gives a nice cohesive look. Again, I'm worried about that point. And I'm going to pin. I'm going to do that to all of these and put them through the machine. Then I'm going to take this pile, the opposites, and I'm going to match these up. I'll meet you back here when the block is done and ready to be trimmed up. Okay, these are done. So I have 5 of each, 5 with the dark in the middle, 5 with the light in the middle, and we're going to trim them up. But before we get into trimming, I want to show you how we press. When we have a dark middle, we press to the dark middle, just like that. When we have a light middle, we press out to the dark bars. That's going to help when we put it together. All the seams will nest nicely, just like they did when we put these together. So let's get to trimming. So to trim these, and I'm going to use my rotating mat. If you don't have a rotating mat, that's okay. You can get just a smaller mat that will help, so you can turn it around. And we are going to line up the 2-inch mark on this line. So I'm going in 1 2 inches, 1 2 inches. And I'm gonna make sure everything is straight. All my lines are straight. They're looking good. You can see this is a little wonky. That's okay. You can also see I'm a little bit off. That's okay, nobody's gonna notice. So we're gonna take our rotary cutter and cut these 2 sides, just like this. And then we're going to turn this rotating mat so this corner is down here. And then we measure 8.5. So I'm going to line up this line here on my 8.5 mark, make sure everything is straight, and then I'm going to cut those edges, just like that. And you have a perfect square. So we're going to do this with all of these, both the darks and the lights, and then we're going to head to the design board. Okay, we have 2 piles. We have them all set. This is the one with the lights in the middle. This is with the darks in the middle. And we're gonna lay them out every other one for 2 rows to make our table runner. So let's put these up here and see what we have. I'm not doing them in any particular order. I'm just gonna play with them, see what it looks like. All right, I like it. I think there's a few things we could tweak. So we have a lot of orange right in here, and I'm not sure about the yellow being on opposite ends. I mean, it's not bad, and I love the colors and everything like that. I just have to figure out a nice balance. So let me change it again and see what we have. What do you think? I like it, but I'm gonna live with it for a little bit, maybe a half an hour or so. I will leave this up on my design board, go do something else, and then sew it together. Now, when I sew it together, I'm going to sew 1 row at a time, and I'm gonna make sure that I press the seams between these in opposite directions, so again, they nest. You can also press them open, but I like that nesting seam. All right, I'm gonna take a picture of this because I do wanna move it and show you what it looks like if we put it on point. So to put this on point, all we're doing is turning the blocks. And I'm gonna show you the Halloween one I did, and I did put it on point. I'll show you that after this. All right, there you go. That's on point. Boy, I really like that. What do you think? It is pretty. I do like it, but I think I do want to just make a straight table runner. Another option we could do is make table toppers, which would be 4 together. And that would be really fun for gifts because you would get 2 table toppers and then 2 extra blocks, which you could add from your stash to make another one, or you can make like mug rugs or something like that. You could do that too. This would be really cute. Put these in the right order. Wouldn't that be cute? That'd be really cute. Let me move these out of the way so you can see. That would be a really cute table topper, especially if it was turned on an angle on a table. And I don't know, that would be fun too. Lots of options. All right, let me show you the Halloween one that I did. Okay, so this is the Halloween one. I did finish this a little differently than I normally do. I sandwiched this with the batting, quilted it, and then added the backing and flipped it. So there's no binding on this. I love this for Halloween. I make all kinds of samples when I am designing a pattern. This is no exception. And then usually my family gets these. They love it because they get all kinds of wonderful examples. And sometimes there are things that didn't work out, or in my opinion didn't work out, and they think they're fantastic. This one is definitely a favorite, and I think it's going to my mom. But you can see it's the exact same pattern, and it looks totally different when you put it with different colors or you put it on point. There's so many different things you could do with this. I'm gonna put the other one back up on my design board. I'm gonna live with it a little bit, make some decisions, sew it together, and meet you back here. Okay, it's finished, or at least the top is finished. I love it. I think it would make a great quilt. I don't know, I'm thinking about making more blocks and ordering more fabric and just making a whole quilt out of this. But I sometimes do that when I'm making small projects like this. I make them bigger than they need to be. Tell me what you think in the comments. Should I do that? Should I make it into a full quilt? Should I make it into a table topper? Because I was thinking you could do a small table topper and then a little small runner too. There's all kinds of things you could do with this. I don't know, I do love it. I love how it turned out. Very cool. So the one that I did as a sample, not the Halloween one, but the other one I have right here, you can see that I did a crosshatch quilting. I was thinking about doing that with this and using orange thread. Wouldn't that be pretty? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do. I love it. And I hope you give this a try. It's so much fun. It just comes together real scrappy looking, and it uses one charm pack. I will have all of the extended directions on my website, on my blog. You can check that out. If you want to make this bigger, I'll have some measurements on how you can make it into bigger quilts. I also hope that I will have a blog post at the end of each month with my finishes for the month, because I'm struggling to get a lot of these projects finished. Usually they go into a cabinet, I never finish them, and they just sit there, and I move on to the next project that I want to teach you. So I need to get better at that. I'm gonna get better at that. Follow along with me on my blog, on Instagram, all that wonderful stuff, and you'll be able to see a lot of that information too. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you take some time to sew, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.